Are you thinking about moving to Long Island, New York? One of the biggest mistakes that you can make is choosing a town too quickly. And I say that because Long Island is not one of those places where you can just pick a random area and just expect everything to work out. Two towns that are 10 or 15 minutes apart can feel completely different in terms of lifestyle, commute, price, and the overall vibe. And in today's video, I'm gonna walk you through some of the best areas to live on Long Island, but more importantly, I'm gonna help you to understand how to choose the right area for you, because that's what actually matters. So, let's get into it. Let's start with the first type of area, which is close to the city, Nassau County living. So Nassau County is going to be the part of Long Island that is closer to the city. So if your job or lifestyle is tied to New York City, you're someone who has a job that's going to be getting a job in New York City, this is where a lot of people start. So you're going to be looking at areas like Great Neck, Port Washington, Mineola, and Garden City. These are all known for being relatively convenient for commuting into Manhattan. If you have access to the Long Island Railroad, and depending on where you are, you can get to the city in a pretty reasonable amount of time. The Long Island is really comfortable. You know, I like to travel comfortably. Long Island Railroad has nice soft seats, moves pretty quickly. You know, these areas also tend to have more established neighborhoods and are generally in very high demand. The trade-off here is going to be the price, okay? It can be a little bit pricey in these areas. Homes in these areas are typically on the higher end, and you're paying for the location and you're paying for the convenience. But for many buyers, that shorter commute is absolutely worth the higher price tag. Next, let's move slightly east, and we're going to talk about what I call central Nassau County. Okay, so central Nassau County, this is going to include areas like Hicksville, Plainview, and Syosset. These areas are a little further from the city, but still very accessible. You know, what you get here is more of a traditional suburban feel. You're going to get quiet neighborhoods. You're going to get more space. I love space. I like to run around with the kids and just enjoy it, looking at trees and all that stuff. You're going to get a mix of housing options. This is really common starting point for buyers who want to stay in Nassau County but need a bit more flexibility on price compared to the western areas. So again, it's going to be all about balancing commute and budget. So next, we're going to move to the south shore of Long Island, which is a completely different lifestyle. So areas like Massapequa, Wantagh, Seaford, and even parts of Long Beach offer something you don't get everywhere, which is proximity to the water. Now, I love water. I've always loved water as a kid. I love the beach. I love going to the beach with my kids and playing in the water, and they're the same way as me. Okay, so you're close to the beaches like Jones Beach, and you'll find a lot of people here who really value that coastal lifestyle. There's also a strong neighborhood feel in many of these areas. The trade-offs here can include things like flood zones in certain parts, so that's something buyers need to be aware of depending on the property. But overall, this is one of the most popular lifestyles on Long Island. So now let's go to the top of the island, which is the North Shore, also as we call it, the Gold Coast of Long Island. So this includes areas like Huntington, Northport, and Oyster Bay. The North Shore tends to feel a little bit more scenic and a little bit more spread out. It's very hilly, whereas the South Shore is much more flat. Okay, so you know, the North Shore is going to be much more scenic and it's much more spread out. So you've got hills, you've got water views, right? Some amazing water view properties, and you've got more of a classic Long Island feel in some of these towns. Huntington in particular stand out because of its downtown. Now, I myself personally, I spent a lot of my time in Huntington. You know, there are tons of restaurants, there's bars, there's shops, there's so many things to do, which makes it one of the more active areas of Long Island outside of the city. Now, myself, I love good food. I love burgers. I love seafood. I'm a complete foodie. And if you like food, Huntington's a great area to go. The North Shore can be a great option if you want, you know, character, you want scenery, and you want a strong community feel. So next, let's move into Suffolk County. So this is the eastern part of Long Island, which is considered more far away from the city, where things really start to open up and you're going to get more of that space. So you're going to think areas like Smithtown, Comac, and East Islip is going to give you more space, and generally it's going to be more affordable compared to Nassau County. Okay, you're going to see larger properties, the neighborhoods are going to be a little bit quieter, and a slower pace of life overall. This is where a lot of buyers end up when they realize, like myself, that they want more space or a different lifestyle than what Nassau County offers. Okay, the trade-off here is usually going to be commute time. So if you're going into the city regularly, this is something you really want to think, something you're going to want to consider. And then you have what I call further east lifestyle living, places like Sayville, Patchogue. You know, this is the place I lived for a very long time, and even out towards the Hamptons, depending on your budget. Now, I love personally spending time in the Hamptons. I love going out there for the seafood, the beautiful beaches. You know, there's so many fun things to do out there. If you're into biking, nature walks and stuff like that. I'm a very outdoorsy guy. I love doing that type of stuff. It's great, you know, depending on your budget. So these areas offer a completely different feel. You know, it's more relaxed, it's more coastal, and in many cases, it's going to be more lifestyle driven. So if you want to get out there, you want to do some kayaking, you know, you want to do some, you know, some windsurfing and stuff like that, that's the place for you. Okay, it's more lifestyle driven. So Patchogue, for example, has become very popular because of its downtown, you know, its restaurants and its overall energy. It has great restaurants on this place called Main Street, great bars, great food. You know, Sayville, very nearby, has more of a village kind of feel. And as you go further east, you know, you're getting closer to that more vacation style type of environment. So now here's the most important thing that I really want you to take away from this video. There is no quote unquote best area on Long Island. There's only the area that really fits your life. So, you know, every single one of these places comes with trade-offs. You know, closer to the city usually means higher prices. More space usually means a longer commute. Living near the water can mean lifestyle benefits, but also things like flood insurance, depending on the location, you know, can add more cost. So instead of starting with a list, I always tell people to start with three. Okay, those three things are going to be your budget, your commute, and your lifestyle. Once you understand those three, everything else starts to fall into place. So that one last thing, okay, Long Island is still a very, very competitive, it's a competitive market. So once you figure out where you want to be prepared, because, you know, the right homes in the right areas, they don't sit around for long, right? They just don't. And if you're thinking about moving to Long Island, you got to have the right strategy. So if you want help narrowing down which areas make the most sense for you based on your situation, you want to work with someone who's local, that's lived in New York all of their lives, I'm more than happy to help you out with buying a house of your dreams. You can feel free to reach out to me. I'm a real estate agent in the area, lived here my whole life. All my contact information is down below. My phone number, you can call me, you can text me, you can shoot me an email. There should be a link down there as well to schedule a Zoom call for me. Just check out the description down below, or you should see something on the screen where you can contact me. And I'd be more than happy to help you make the move to Long Island and map it out. Thanks for checking out the video. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk soon.